Welcome back to the Grand Solar Minimum channel. Today is Tuesday, November 27th, 2018. How fast this month has flown by. It felt like we just got done trick-or-treating and then we had Thanksgiving. So now here we are, Tuesday, ending the month of November here in the next few days. Let's take a look at solar wind conditions right now. It's sitting at 420.1 kilometers per second with a density of 8.1. We have 0 sunspots today on our sun. We are blank for the first time, day 1. That's 195 days of spotless sun. Now, we should, according to what we look at here at the Grand Solar Minimum channel, we should hit well over 200 days. Our TCI index is at a 3.83, so that's 38 billion watts. And taking a look at our KP indices sitting at a 2, with a 24-hour max of also at a 2. And take a look at this coronal hole. Now, I talked about this last week, and this was the coronal hole that we spoke about that was possibly going to cause the geomagnetic storm. This bad boy here, we've watched it now for about over a week, and just like we had suspected, NOAA is calling for a good chance for geomagnetic storms. That was plural. So we will see how that plays out as they are expecting here. And I'll go ahead and zoom out and show everyone. First of all, let's take a look at this gorgeous halo. Look at this, guys. Look at these. I never get tired of looking at sky halos. Absolutely just amazing. Anyway, geomagnetic storms are likely to hit on November 30th or December 1st. They still haven't made up their mind. Let's go with the December 1st, when a stream of solar wind is expected to hit Earth's magnetic field, and yada, yada, yada. Last time it happened, we had one on November 4th, so just less than a month apart of geomagnetic storms. But we are expecting activity on November 30th or December 1st. At this point, NOAA does not know. Not surprising either. Taking a look at the backside of the sun, it's looking pretty good. You know what I mean? We had the sunspot that we tracked from the other side on the eastern limb, and really, for all of you out there who might have thought that solar cycle 24 was over, well, here's proof that it isn't. We're looking at the backside of the sun, and we got a couple of gigantor sunspots. Well, not gigantor, but pretty decent size activity here on the backside of the sun. So that will take about 12 to 15 days to get around to us. I approximately, don't hold me to that, at least 15 to 17 days, I do know. But there are, looks like active regions in the southern part of the equator of the sun. And of course, right at the equatorial position, we have a little bit of activity. So we'll keep our eye on this. And there's another coronal hole behind this that's pretty good size. So we might see multiple geomagnetic storms in December as well, according to this image right here. And plus, we'll also keep an eye on these sunspots that are coming around the bend here in the next 15 to 17 days. Take a look at our TSI for November 19th, 2018. The reading came in at 1360.678, so still staying low. Want to say hello to everyone who has joined us in the chat earlier. I asked everyone for weather conditions and location, so I want to go ahead and give a shout out here. Let's go ahead and look at some of our locations. We got Glenn from Brisbane, 34 degrees Celsius, windy with a little bit of rain. Rob, 52 and raining, lightning where he is at. Eastern North Carolina, high of 46 degrees, sunny and a little windy. South Central Missouri from Old EP, South Central Missouri cold and clear, set for the 5th coldest November on record. Francine says we have fresh powder on the ground as well. So I just wanted to say a quick hello to those. Thank you for participating in that. I think that might be something I'd like to integrate into our shows from here on out, is kind of get like a check-in where you're at, give us your location, temperature, what kind of weather you might be experiencing, just to kind of compare how conditions are around the world. And speaking of conditions around the world, here we are talking about a storm in New South Wales, Australia. A deepening low pressure system is expected to affect major New South Wales population centers this week. This storm could drop 2 months of rain over parts of the state, including Sydney, in a matter of hours. Residents are urged to follow advice from local emergency services and keep up to date with the latest warnings. Also on the forecast as well, heavy rain is expected across coastal areas of the state, most likely in the Sydney or Illawarra areas. The rain is expected to begin Wednesday morning, November 28th, and continue through the day. The low moves off the coast early Wednesday, deepening as it interacts with the ocean, says meteorologist Grace Legg. As the system strengthens, we'll see significant rain wrap around affected coastal areas. 2 to 4 inches is in the forecast, with isolated amounts of 8 inches possible in some areas. To put this into perspective, Sydney receives an average November rainfall of around 2.6 inches. And as much as 4 inches of rain is expected over the city in a matter of hours. So they're going to double their rain total in just hours of what they usually see in about a month. This event is likely to lead to flooding, trees, and power lines down, and therefore will have power outages the worst of the weather. So forget about losing your power. Now you have no power with high winds, soaking rains, possibility of some flooding happening here. We will keep an eye on this storm as well if we get any updates. Damaging winds of excess of 55 miles per hour. Hazardous surf conditions are also in the forecast along the coastal fringe for Wednesday morning and may extend further along by the evening. Winds will ease later on Thursday as the low moves away from the coast, taking much of the weather with it. So this is a fast-moving storm, but still impressive amounts of rain are going to be seen drop in this region. 2 to 4, anywhere localized as much as 8 inches of rain. Got the link in the description if you want to take a look at the rest of the article. And Usagi forces 100,000 to evacuate southern Vietnam, drops 14 inches of rain on Ho Chi Minh City. Tropical storm Usagi made landfall in southern Vietnam around 6:00 UTC on November 25th. This is a little old. Had maximum sustained winds of 52 miles an hour. This is the 27th named storm of the 2018 Pacific typhoon season, and the 8th tropical cyclone to hit Vietnam this season. It comes just several days after Cyclone Toraji hit the country, leaving more than 12 people dead. Usagi made landfall close to Vung Teng Tao at Ba Ra Vung Tao province and continued northwestward inland over Ho Chi Minh City area towards southern Cambodia as a tropical depression. Authorities issued evacuation orders for more than 100,000 people ahead of this storm. And here is the track of this storm where it's going to be making landfall. Early November 26th, center was located approximately 50 miles northwest of Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam, with the maximum sustained winds right around 28 miles per hour. Ho Chi Minh received more than 14 inches before the storm moved away, resulting in widespread flooding and travel disruption. Winds brought by the storm downed numerous trees in the popular beach of Vung Tau, destroyed roofs of homes and sank boats along the coast that caused outages and damaged at least 51 homes in Ho Chi Minh City area. At least one person lost their life after being hit by a fallen tree while riding a motorcycle. Guys, this is what they mean by heeding the warnings. Pay attention to your surroundings. And, I guess I should back that up. That is their main transportation around there, is on these motorcycles. But still, know what your weather is and get out of it when you hear of such rain. And I tell you what, if I was a local resident of this area and someone said, hey, by the way, we're going to get close to 14 inches of rain here in a few hours, I would probably look at that as a typo. So maybe some of these people didn't understand the actual level of this storm and how intense it was going to get, but it dropped quite a bit of rain in a short period of time, and it forces 100,000 people to evacuate southern Vietnam. So link will also be in the description on this video. Let's shift the gears a little bit, guys. Let's talk about some snow. The other night, Monday night, blizzard warning, lots of snow moving into the area. We saw the Midwest getting pounded, and I'll show you some of the totals from that. Winter storm continued to hit Chicago early Monday morning, leaving several inches of accumulation in its wake. The storm is expected to dump anywhere from 6 to 12 inches of snow across northern Illinois, with western and northern areas getting hit especially hard by the storm. The latest snowfall totals from across the region as of 7 a.m., according to the National Weather Service, are listed below. Here we go, guys. Belvidere in Boone County, 5.3 inches. Capron, 9 inches. In Cook County, Chicago Ridge just saw 2.7 inches. Countryside, 2.5. Elk Grove Village, 5.7. Hardwood Heights got almost 7 inches of snow. Mount Prospect received 8.3 inches. And the Chicago O'Hare International Airport also picked up 7.4 inches of snow. 9.2 in Schaumburg. And it looks like DeKalb picked up 10 inches. Genoa picked up 8.4. Kirkland, 9 inches. As you can see, guys, the average amount of snowfall that we see in here is at least between 4 to 6 inches of snow, at least. So northern Illinois and Chicago areas surrounding it, you guys saw your first real weather storm of the year, no doubt, and it comes on November 26th. Still a little early, not too early for this, but you get the drift. We start really seeing this kind of weather crank up around late December, early January. So a little early to see such a snow event happen this quickly, actually. That storm got huge. And here is some of the snow that fell in Des Moines. Now, this is from the storm that brought all that snow to Chicago. And it says up to 17 inches of snow fell this weekend in Iowa. And we also have some state totals as well. In Oskaloosa, 17 inches of snow was reported. Grand Mound had 14.5 inches on Monday morning. Other areas, New London with 11, Murray with 11, Wilton with 10, Johnson City with 9, and so forth and so on. Again, lots of snow for this time of year in the Midwest, the Northern Plains as well. This is stuff that we see getting really kicked into gear mid-December, late December, usually into early January. So the snowfall continues across the United States. And another snowstorm, actually this is from the same snowstorm. So it hits the Iowa, the Midwest, it goes through Chicago, and then it dropped around 6 to 7 inches of snow in the Lansing, Michigan area. It says here, after several inches of snow Sunday night into Monday morning, crashes slowed down an already difficult commute in the Lansing region. The Ingham County Sheriff's Department responded to 12 crashes and 55 slide-offs from midnight to Sunday 2 p.m. From midnight Sunday into 2 p.m. Monday early afternoon. No one was injured and the vehicles only had minor damage, which is the good news there. Lansing police were called to 25 crashes, 2 of which involved non-life-threatening injuries. So nothing too serious. And here is a map of the snow totals. And zoom this in a little bit more. This was more of an western central Michigan type event. Near Flint, we're looking at 3 to 6 inches. Grand Rapids, somewhere between 5 and 7. 7 to 11 inches in localized areas. 5 to 7 in the Lansing area. Big Rapids looks like they got somewhere in between 4 to 6. And so, for the most part, the biggest punch of this storm was definitely in the Midwest. It held itself together quite nicely for Illinois and for the most part the northeastern part of the state as well. And then even into Michigan, it still kind of had some impressive numbers for this early in the year. Didn't see when usually we get these kinds of snowfalls yet. I haven't seen that number that year. If anybody in the chat knows, that'd be great. Hopefully, maybe Radical Gardner might be here tonight and might be able to help us out with that one. But I'll just read a little bit more from this article here. It says, the remainder of the day should be dry according to the National Weather Service. Region remains under hazardous weather outlook through Monday night, which was last night. This is old news. But I just wanted to report on, the situation that we had from Sunday all the way to last night. And now we're dealing with, I should say, the remnants of what we were looking at as far as the storm. And it's not as strong as we had it earlier, guys. Right now we've got some scattered precipitation as that storm is long gone into Ottawa area, and it's very, very faded out. So this storm is nowhere what it was. And finally, there's some quiet for some of us out here in the Midwest. We needed to dig out into the Central Plains and the Northwest, but we'll get to the weather here just in a little bit. Just want to give you an example. And also, hey, New England got some snowfall yesterday. So as we're tracking snow already in November, we're talking about from Montana, the Rockies, through the Central Plains, into the Midwest, into the Great Lakes, all the way through the Northeast by Tuesday. And it says here, a storm crossing New England brought mainly rain and wind to the south, but many saw snow in the northern parts of the region. Wondering how much snow you got? Check out the snowfall totals below. Some areas only getting a couple inches. And then Elmore was 6, Braintree with 8.5, Greensboro with 8.6, Lowell with 4 inches, Rutland with 3, which is not too far away from where we are. East Bar 5.4 inches, Plainfield 5, Worcester 4.5 inches, Marshfield 4.5. So Woodstock, we received a foot, and Reading also received about 10 inches. But for the most part, Madison, you picked up 14 inches. That's a big one there. 14 inches. Tamworth picked up 9.2. So it looks like most of the Northeast averaged about 2 to 5 inches of snowfall from this system. So overall, I think the peak of this was definitely in the Midwest. Iowa, Nebraska, Chicago had some pretty heavy, impressive totals. And in the Great Lakes, we had that burst of 7-11, and we also seen some foot readings here in the Northeast. So this snow system held itself, kept it rolling, and continued to dump snow. And actually, I want to look at the snow totals right now that we have. I want to see the snow depth that we got coming up. Bear with me, folks. I'm going to pull this model up real quick. That'll give us an idea of what kind of snowfall we're looking at through the month, or through the end of the month into the beginning of next month. Just give me 1 second here, guys. All right. So here we are as of the 27th. Still decent amount of snow, but as we progress, we will see this. Nothing real significant, but a couple of storms do move across the Midwest again into the Great Lakes. And what does that mean for total snowfall? This is what the new snow line looks like. And each time we look at this on our show, we continue to see, especially right in here, my goodness. I mean, the snow line is reaching very far south. We see a dry pocket here in the south, mild area, dry. So mainly rain in this area right here, but light snow into Ohio. But look at where the snow line is reaching. And it's November. And you could say easily on this map right here, this is, 35% of the country is not going to have snow at some point between now and December 7th. And we're looking at a possible nor'easter in the Northeast late that week, or early of that following week, from December 9th through the 12th. So we'll keep our eyes on that as we go into the weather too. We'll talk about that. But just want to report on all the snowfall. And like I said, from Sunday until tonight, we've seen this system move right across the area from the higher mountain areas to the Rockies to the Midwest, all the way through the Great Lakes and into the Northeast. So everybody got a taste of some winter weather starting on Saturday night and moving out finally by Tuesday night. So a quick little moving system that dumped quite a bit of snow, caused lots of commute issues. And again, I'm stressing it's only November because we didn't see this kind of snowfall. We sure as heck didn't see this kind of potential across the country in November last year. No way. The one thing that remains solid too, guys, if you look at the Northeast, where a lot of the snow is predicted, and some in the Midwest as well, Iowa, right now that's the most consistency that we're seeing, is we're definitely going to continue to see the snow driving in this area as well. But we'll get to that here in a little while. So, the other night, Sunday, I went on the air and talked about this 4th National Climate Assessment, Volume 2, Impacts, Risks, Adaptation in the United States. Summary findings. Now, what we're looking at is a bunch of fancy words put together to make it dramatic. And what is the one thing that you guys are noticing? Just not even reading this, but we're just skimming through this. I mean, this looks like some kind of made-up script to plea with the public that we are still warming and man is causing the warming. Now, I just asked a few minutes ago, what's missing from all these words and all these threats about Zika and West Nile disease and, you know, indigenous people, climate change increasingly threatens their communities, and this is straight up fear porn, guys. Ecosystem search, and the benefits provided are being altered by climate change. Well, yeah, that's true, but it's not because we're warming. Many benefits provided the environment, such as clean air and water protection from coastal flooding, wood and fiber crop pollination, hunting and fishing tourism. Again, what is the number one thing that is missing in this summary findings? I'm already down to part 10 out of 12. Now we're talking about oceans. Rising waters. Where? Retreating Arctic sea ice. Where? Right here, guys. Look, right there. Retreating Arctic sea ice. These are things that this summary is pointing out. Okay? Now, the sea ice does retreat in the summer months in the northern hemisphere. That's common. That happens all the time. Has it been puny? Yes. Is it rapidly freezing up there? Yes. But they're not going to mention that in this. And Mari's already done a search for words, and there's no mention of, you know, solar cycles or anything like that, even to correlate with. It's not in here. So here's what we just did. I just scrolled through the entire summary, each part. And the one thing that's missing out of the entire summary is data. I don't see any charts. I don't see any raw numbers. I don't see numbers from NOAA. I don't see graphs of carbon dioxide levels. I don't see... Oh, here is the first chart that we've seen. But again, there's nothing on it that is a significance of this report. Now they have some links right here. Let's click on one. And it's... I was hoping that we would see like a peer-reviewed paper linked to this report that shows us the numbers, the graphs, everything. They put these little, look at this. Guys, there is no scientific information whatsoever in here. This is like a summary, a write-up. This almost looks like a business plan for, you know, asking for grants for a business. And the business is shutting down fossil fuel companies and putting more restrictions and regulations to the American public and the world public. Here we are in the third. Now look, this is just a list of the chapters. It repeats itself. Down at the bottom that I'm scrolling, we've already looked at this. Where on this do we see anything about data? Data and tools. Here we go. Let's see what happens. Data and tools. Let's see what data they're using. They're saying they use the third National Climate Assessment in 2014 major focus, blah, blah, blah. Scenario products. Again, no links. Oh, here we go. Let's see what they got here. Scenarios. Again, the links they have are not showing anything like this, or this, or this, or this, or this. None of it. Like I said, this is just a fancy written report. It is propaganda. It's being used to scare, and here's what's worse about this. It's spun by the media, fake news media, I should add, that the Trump administration released it. Whoa, 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 hey, the president's administration. That's because they rely on NOAA and others to provide them with these reports. That part hasn't changed yet. So, what does Trump think about this? I'll let you hear for yourself. And this is important. Turn this on real quick.
I've seen it, some of it, and it's fine. Yeah, I don't believe it. No, I don't believe it.
Okay, let's roll it back.
I've seen it, I've read some of it, and it's fine. Yeah, I don't believe it. No, I don't believe it.
So, and the reporter was asking him about the economic issues with it, the devastation that it's going to cause, this and that. Trump doesn't believe it. Bravo. And, Radical Gardener pointed this out to me as well. The report was released because there's still some swamp that needs drained. Because I've never seen an administration that's so interconflict when a report that's released by Trump's administration doesn't reflect the president's views at all. It's very confusing to the public. And thus, again, makes it that more difficult to get into the conversation about, climate change. Yeah, I have an echo. Sorry, folks. So, but it makes it more difficult to try to pull people into the truth, like right here, because they see this mixed message where the president denies the report, but its administration releases it. And the way the media headlines it, it makes it like that the Trump administration wrote the report, but in actuality, this is not written by the Trump administration. Science 2007. This report is from, let's go to this website. Let's see what we see here. Our global changing climate. Oh, this is great. Physical drivers of climate change. Let's see what, we already know it. This human activities continue to significantly affect Earth's climate right off the bat before it shows you any data, any charts. Oh, here we go. We've seen this one over and over before. Again, I'll give this link here credit. There's at least something to look at. There's some kind of information, but it's false. But right off the back, it tells you how it's, human caused, and without even showing you graphs or information or links to peer-reviewed papers. It's just their claims. So that's why we leave the links in the description. We want you folks to go check this out for yourself. But Donald Trump doesn't believe. He doesn't believe. Let's read a little bit from the New York Post here. It says President Trump on Monday dismissed his own government's comprehensive... see, here's New York Post. President Trump on Monday dismissed his own government's comprehensive report that concluded that unchecked climate change would devastate the nation's economy. Like, how dare the president? And this actually gets... there's a couple of things here that I noticed that... the president continues to get disrespected over and over again. The report, Fourth National Climate Assessment, was released on the day after Thanksgiving. NOAA, by NOAA. That's why. Altogether right there, that's why this ridiculousness came out. No good NOAA. Anyway, it painted a dire scenario, contending that the country would lose billions by the end of the century unless they take action now. Now listen. That part isn't entirely untrue, but it has nothing to do with man. If anything, it's going to have to do with solar minimums and our dimming sun. Famine, crop failure, people not acting fast enough to get crops going in other climates, other locations. And, I love how New York Post continues, the report was compiled by 13 federal agents and more than 300 leading climate scientists. Trump has been a long climate change skeptic. He tweeted in 2012, concept of global warming was created by and for the Chinese in order to make U.S. manufacturing non-competitive. Maybe. Who knows? I mean, we already know the carbon tax is one of the biggest frauds in our country. Al Gore, as he continues to fight for man-made climate change being real, as he flies around in his jet and powers up that mansion of his that takes up energy and all that good stuff. But White House ain't taking it, guys. Sarah Sanders is also keeping a stiff lip. Washington, now we know why President Trump doesn't believe the dire. Now, this is where we see the disrespectfulness here in this part, I think. We know why the President Trump doesn't believe the dire climate change report by his own administration last week. Trump's press secretary says the report is not based on facts. Bingo. She's right. But yet, you can't convince the press that. Because they want to spin the story and say, oh, no, he denies his own administration. He's so crazy. He's so crazy. He's denying his own administration's report. Again, Noah, this report assessment has been in place before Donald Trump. I do believe Obama was the one that got this started. But here's what Sarah continued to say about this, on the fact that it's not based on facts. She says, we'd like to see something that is more data-driven. How about that? She said that Sanders in Tuesday's press briefing dismissing the findings of the 1,600-page report from more than 300 top scientists. Again, they want to bring up, now listen, they're denying 300 top scientists in 13 federal agencies. Are they nuts? Sarah Sanders says this is a different person. The last thing President Trump, Sarah Sanders, and their sycophants are willing to accept are facts. Again, this is the left, the liberals, and the AGW deflecting responsibility, okay? Because we're not accepting your report and your gibberish, because there is nothing in there. And Sarah Sanders is absolutely right. This report is not based on facts. There's no data driven in this. And this was part of the things that the EPA and others were talking about. They want to see the source of these conclusions. Where did these scientists come up with these conclusions? Or take a look at their bank accounts and see how much it, cost them to get them to agree with that. But again, here is the article trying to attack the Trump administration for not accepting facts, whether it's crowd-sized Russian election meddling, the death of a journalist, or the impacts of climate change. Every time the Trump White House is confronted with indisputable facts, it ignores them. Except this article is fake news. And there is no evidence that is given in this report about dire consequences from man-made climate change. Again, Noah is lying to us, guys. I don't know if you know who Starman is. He is a great researcher. Great work on Twitter. I'm sure you'll find him linked to our Twitter accounts if you just go to the Grand Solar Minimum, at Grand Solar Minimum on Twitter, and find Starman. And he is basically pulling back the veil and showing us that all those things that we've heard from, like the year of the Super El Nino, guys, we never made it to the threshold for a Super El Nino. Right now, we're barely riding the threshold for a Modaki El Nino currently, but it's going to be a late one. That is the facts. That this is not going to be developing now. This is going to be a late winter El Nino development. That's what it's looking like right now. But we're using that assumption based on facts and data-driven information. Okay, so this guy here is saying, Trump doesn't pay attention to any facts. Asked by Monday by reporters, the latest national climate assessment dealing with economic and environmental devastation expected in coming decades and swift action is not taken to curb greenhouse gas pollutions was buried Black Friday. Trump said flatly, I don't believe it. He did say he'd read some of it. Now, I think he said he did read some of it. Given what we know about the president's reading habits, I wonder if the report has any pictures, Cook says. Now, this is my point, guys. This guy is the EGW president, Ken Cook. This person is supposed to be a man of intellect. And they want to talk about Donald Trump and his behavior on social media? But yet this man is assuming that Trump is so stupid that he has to have pictures in his books to read. It's like he's basically a hypocrite, this Ken Cook guy. By now, it's the safest bet in town that when President Trump doesn't believe something is true, it is, says Cook. None of the president's policy positions are grounded in facts. And his unfortunate decision to dismiss his own government's alarming study for... No, this is not his own government's alarming study. This was Barry Obama's creation. This is Barry's doing. Barry's the one that got with Noah. Barry's the one that made sure their pockets were comfortably lined to continue this nonsense so they can continue to regulate the EPA and kill jobs. That's what's killing the economy, is the EPA. Obama-era regulations. That is what's killing the economy. Will climate change do something to the crops in the future? Absolutely, but it's not because of us. Natural cycles. The president has said that before. The Environmental Working Group is a nonprofit, nonpartisan organization that empowers people to live healthier, live in lives environment, though they research advocacy as unique education tools. The EWG drives consumer choice and civic action. The New York Post article talks about how Trump has stated, you're going to have China and Japan and all of Asia and all over these countries, you know. The report addresses our country. Right now, we are the cleanest we've ever been, and that's very important to me. So there's the truth. There's a fact that Donald Trump just stated. United States actually cut back on CO2 emissions by man-made this year by 2.3%. And that was pulling out of the Paris Treaty. But he says, but if we're clean, but everyone other place on Earth is dirty, that's not so good. I want clean air and clean water. Very important. Again, the New York Post wants to say, this report was compiled by 13 federal agencies and 300 leading type climate scientists. In October, he told CBS 60 Minutes he didn't think climate change was a hoax, but I don't know if it's man-made, is what he says. I think it's something happening. Something's changing, and it'll change back again. Guys, I can't paint the picture any more clear for you. When Trump says something like, I think something is happening, something's changing, and it'll change back again. What normally does that on its own? A cycle. Any kind of cycle. It does it on its own. The cycle goes in a complete cycle. It's here, it's there, it's here, it's there, it's back. That's what a cycle does. It starts at one point, ends at another. As long as they continue to cycle, you will see those results up and down throughout cycles. I think 2018 has been a year of disclosure. We've seen more and more organizations refer to solar cycles for our current situation with our climate, our temperatures. But the president, in my opinion, in this interview especially, this guy is not hostile.
I've seen it, I've read some of it, and it's fine. Yeah, I don't believe it. No, I don't believe it.
And look, a man to face the media and say it with that face the way he was, very confident in the answer. It was not even a hesitation. There wasn't a question about anything. Immediately, he's already convinced that that report is a bunch of fear-porn malarkey. And Sarah Sanders backed it up. That they would have liked to have seen something that was more data-driven. Look at that. Well, they want a report that is based on facts. This one they didn't think it was. They want to see something that is more data-driven. Again, I just pointed out to you guys this report, okay? I showed you summary findings, overview, report chapters, downloads. I'm sure that's just for parts of this so you can read it at home and get scared too. On your own free time, not on my time, please. Experts. Scientists rip new federal climate report as tripe, embarrassing, systematically flawed. Key claim based on study funded by Steyer and Bloomberg. Climate experts call it new federal report for hiding the decline of hurricanes. Were they thinking that no one would notice? Climate expert Dr. Roger Pielke Jr., the claim of economic danger from climate change is based on a 15-degree Fahrenheit temp increase that is double the most extreme value reported elsewhere in the report. More than double. The sole editor of this claim of the report was an alumni of the Center for American Progress, which is also funded by Tom Steyer. Climate analysis Paul Homewood cherry picks a few bad weather events, extrapolates using the most scary scenarios. Climatologist Dr. Pat Michaels on the report, systematically flawed. Report should be shelved. Trump versus Trump? Question mark. Dr. Ken Hapla, the global warming course, immediately seized on the new report claiming that the Trump administration is contradicting President Trump's claims about global warming. Amusingly, some of the chorus interviewed people who worked for the group who were political appointees under the Obama administration. See, guys, I'm not making this up. Like I said, this stuff that's happening right now is from the Obama era, and Donald has way more important things right now to take care of. I get that. And I feel like that the climate thing is being addressed. And the fact that he is not jumping on these new carbon taxes and buying into these reports that say that we're going to warm so much it's going to kill us because man is irresponsible, he's going to get to this. It's going to be a huge disclosure. Talking to some people about the Russians and how their scientists, they don't fool around, they don't lie. They know what's going on. And there's a lot more people now that's going to rely on Russian weather reporting than ever, if that's the truth. They're not hiding this. They're not, trying to confuse the public about what's about to happen with these solar cycles. Greenpeace co-founder Dr. Patrick Moore, the science must be addressed head on. If the President of the United States has a reason for letting this Obama-era committee continue to peddle tripe, I wish he would tell us what they are. In other words, Mr. Trump, can we address this? I know there's a lot on your plate, but he's right. We do need to address this. It's just unfortunate, and it puts egg on your face for your administration. I know your administration has nothing to do with this report. None. So we do need to address it. Get it. Let's clear the air here, okay? And not just me, but these other top scientists who agree. There is no real data in this report released by NOAA. There isn't. There's no charts. There's nothing that tells us about what's going on here. By the way, we continue to look at our ice extent growing. 10.657 millions of square kilometers of the ice extent right now continues to grow. Closing in on this gap, guys. Look at this. I'll move this out of the way. Look at this gap. Whoops. Move that back first. Here we go. Yeah, that's what I wanted. Look at that. 2018 November. We are now in that gray shaded area. And I think we're going to surpass as the months continue. I think we'll be right around somewhere here near the first of the year where we might be either even or just above going into 2019 on the ice extent. Again, the beginning of this report from NOAA talks about retreating ice in the Arctic. Here's a current look as of November 26th, 2018. Check this out. We've got excess of ice already forming, guys, in November. Look at this. That's remarkable growth. I didn't see that kind of growth at all during the wintertime, and we're already freezing up. Ice here on the eastern part of Greenland. This is almost at full capacity, and we're in November. Waiting on this right here. But with all the warm anomaly temperatures that we've seen in the North Arctic, I think that's slowed up. We did have a huge anomaly a few days ago in this region right here where we saw temperatures around 15 degrees above normal Celsius for a day or so. But again, 15 degrees Celsius for a day or so is not going to cause climate change, and it sure does not in any way, shape, or form take away from this ice. But look at how it's building up, even in Alaska, guys. Around the coast of Alaska, we're starting to see where the ice is filling in, and it's only November. I'm getting excited because Dr. Roy Spencer is coming out with his monthly numbers here very shortly. We will take a look at where we are with that. But also, links are in the description. Now, here's the retreating ice, guys. Take a look at this. This was from October. Look at the difference. Look at the difference already. This area right here, all the way back here, this area is definitely within its means. We're seeing ice here now. Up in this area right here, look how much we've filled in since October. That's completely solid with ice. This up in here is as well. We're still waiting it to fill up in here. But like I said, we have ice growth in this area. And even in Alaska, we've seen more ice on the edges developing over the past several days. So that was October, and here's November once again. I mean, look at that. We're missing ice here. We were missing ice here. Still this area, like I said, that was that anomaly, but we're filling in just nicely over here. I mean, look, we're even getting... Oh, man, I didn't even notice that the first time around. So, we are going to continue to show the truth. We're going to continue to show you guys how the media is going to try to spin this. By the way, El Nino is looking a little bit consistent. Like I said, we were talking about now it is looking to be a possibility formation around January or February this winter if this trend continues, because it has stayed at the threshold since late September, and we are now into almost the 60-day territory of temperatures being at the threshold of 0.5 above baseline. As we look at the El Nino region, we do see some areas that have jumped up to 29 right here. While these temperatures have maintained in the 27s and the 28, but these two definitely have risen just a little bit. Nothing to be too concerned with, but again, we are seeing some warmth in the extreme region of the El Nino 3-4. But this is what Sarah Sanders is talking about. She wants to see some numbers. She wants to see the proof, and not just some speculation of some fear-porn artists who are trying to get the taxes passed for carbon to increase. Look, gas prices are starting to fall. What do you think is going to happen if they do pass another carbon tax? Whatever prices that we just saw relax in the oil sector will no longer be there as far as the prices being relaxed. So let's take a look at our GFS, guys. See what we've got coming. Here is that light precipitation we were talking about, the snow that's been falling off and on. It's been raining. Wednesday, we will continue to see snow in the northeast, move across the Great Lakes of the Ohio region, western New York, also northwestern Pennsylvania. This system will move out. And another storm starting in the northern plains. This one looks like it's going to stay mainly up in the Great Lakes and into Canada, but just an absolute mess in California as this low pressure system moves in off the Pacific Ocean, creates lots of snowfall in the higher elevations and lots of heavy precipitation in California. This is their rainy season, but we still have to be prepared for mudslides and rock slides in the burn scar areas as well. But here we are, Friday, November 30th, the last day of November. A low pressure system starting to get its act together in the Midwest. Thankfully, it's all rain at this point. So no repeat of what we had this past weekend into the Midwest. But as that system moves away, we get a pretty decent sized low pressure system getting its act together once again in the Midwest and bringing more rain with it. Now, where we see the snow up in this region up in here, this is where I'm expecting to see more thunder snow. And ironically enough, it's heading towards in the same direction out of Iowa into northern Illinois. But it's going to stay a little bit further north than the last one, and Wisconsin's going to get a little bit more snowfall. Rain to the northeast of this, Ohio, New York, Pennsylvania, Carolinas. This will be an all-rain event. And as this one's moving out, by December 2nd, once again, the Southwest, looking at a major low-pressure system moving through the four corner states, Wyoming, Montana, into the Midwest, into the Plain states as well. And it looks like Kansas is going to get in on the action on a serious storm as well, with Iowa and other parts of the Midwest. Illinois, you'll be Chicago. This system right here, December 4th, looks like a repeat of what we just had. And for the most part, that cold air is trying to fight this warm air. But as this low-pressure system moves up from the south, it's going to bring mild enough temperatures in upstate New York where we're not going to see an all-snow event at first. But as this system moves out to the northeast, we are also bringing in colder air behind it. And look at much of the country, guys. The cold line goes all the way to New Mexico, Texas, almost pushing into the deep south. And as we move into December 5th, another major low-pressure system moving into the Southern California area, not as impactful as before. December 6th, looking at some possibility of some heavy lake effect snows in western New York. And then this is the storm down here in the Gulf that folks are trying to figure out if this could be the beginning of a nor'easter. Again, this is some time away. Cold air has invaded most of the country. That storm kind of goes away, but there's like a reemergence of a low pressure system as that major one moves out. Now look at California in the northwest. Tons more rain on the way, snow also, and higher elevations. As we get through the 12th of December, again, that storm that keeps going off the coast, we're still going to watch it. Right now, not looking so much like a nor'easter, but this system out here in the west gets going and gets across the northern plain states again before it approaches the Great Lakes area. And it's just like wave after wave, guys, and we're in December. So the temperatures are starting to favor that possibility, especially in the middle of December, where we could possibly see temperatures snow enough or cold enough to snow on a regular basis. And we see low pressure system after low pressure system, wave after wave of moisture that continues to invade parts of the Midwest, Northeast, and across the northern plains. But the Southwest especially, you guys are going to get your share of snow in the higher elevations. California, again, we're going to have to watch for flash floods, mudslides, and rock slides as we're getting plenty of action from system after system. So again, not much of a lull here for the United States in between storm systems as each one moves away. Some of these kind of merge and form a superstorm and move off to the coast. And then another one moves in and moves off the coast. And right when you think the coast is clear, here comes another one into the west coast. Now, it does look like somewhere around the 6th of December, things are going to be kind of mellow, but then that changes rapidly within the next 3 to 4 days. And we've got multiple systems throughout the United States. And as long as that jet stream continues to trend the way it is, that major snowstorm at the middle part of December is going to stay north. So it looks like right now the Midwest into the East Coast into the Northeast, we don't see anything too crazy for snowfall until around December 5th into 6th. Some lake effects after that around the 7th and 8th. And then the possibility of a couple of systems that could change course. Again, this is just way too far out to actually be predicting accurate, especially for that part of December 10th through the 18th. I do believe that's when we might have to watch for a early nor'easter, and I mean possibility of a big storm hitting the area on the second week of December. Air will be cold enough, and again, the soil is saturated up here in the Northeast, whether it's rain or snow. We've had our share of precipitation, and I'm sure Mari and I will put together a report about what kind of amounts we've seen, because it seems like every month somebody somewhere around here in the United States is having one of the wettest months in the history of their state's records. So that's all I have for tonight. Mari, did you want to say hello to anyone in the chat? I know we had lots of people in there earlier.
We have lots of people in the chat, and I apologize, silly me has left my laptop charger elsewhere, so I am on my phone. Now, Jake, you're asking people for temperatures. First up, I want to give a shout out to Justin L., super supporter of GSM. He recently I just posted a picture of him in his GSM shirt. He did a super chat. I just want to give him a shout out. Thanks so much, Justin. For temperatures, Radical Gardener said it was 45 degrees last couple days, a bit colder today for her. El Paso has beautiful weather. Dennis is in El Paso. We got Seattle raining, about 48 from I wish I could. It's DJ Neutronic, right? So he's 48 and raining in Seattle. Space Weather Monkey, 26 Fahrenheit in Southeast Michigan. Grant, he posted an awesome link in Facebook. I'm giving him major kudos. Love that article that you posted. Thank you. 22 degrees Celsius in New Zealand. He's a Kiwi. We got 29 degrees, so I believe probably Celsius in Byron Bay, Australia. 70 in Glendale, Arizona. And 21 degrees Fahrenheit in northeast Kansas.
A lot of
Rob says there's a freeze or a frost warning in, I believe, Miami. I thought I had it written down. I'll double check. Concerned Canadian has a question. You ready?
Okay.
Jake? You're fielding questions, right?
Okay, let's do it.
Okay. Does a fart equate to a warm front if it happens from behind?
I do believe it does, especially when it's trapped in your pants. I do believe that does qualify for trapped gases to keep the warmth inside the pants.
I'm not sure
region.
how that affects the atmospheric stuff. Definitely more CO2.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Good question. Concern Canada.
I love you guys. Crodius Maximus, or whatever his name is, he gave us a $2 super chat to sort of harass us about Trump. And he thanks, but no thanks, I guess. I don't know. Mixed emotions on the... He's like, I'm going to donate money so my chat's seen about harassing Trump. I guess. I don't know.
Well...
What can you do, Jake?
You've done that.
You know what, Jake? It is something I would do, isn't it? Just to make a point.
And I get it. So many people are, and I get why people are pissed off at Trump, but the media doesn't help. And Trump's telling the truth about that. The media spins things so crazy that they're not getting all the facts. And that's why Trump is so short with members of the media. But, man, I'm looking at these temperatures, Mari, and at the second part of December, we start to see some really cold air hanging out in southern parts of Canada. I mean some super Arctic air, and that's still about 10 to 15 days out. So that polar vortex that we were talking about, having it being weak, we could see some shots of some really cold air in the month of December, a lot like last year, where we had that super, super cold air. And then January, possibility same setup where we get these ice jams like we did last year. Did you have more? I'm sorry. I didn't mean to
Rob,
catch up.
thanks for the super chat.
Thank you, Rob.
You didn't have to do that.
No, you don't.
I mean, you
Thank
crazy
you.
mofo. And then we were talking about the many voices of Jake when he's reading these news articles. Like, there was a moment you sounded like Trump, and one person said you sounded like Hank Hill there for a minute, and I just said, Jake is the man of many voices.
Hank Hill.
He's so full of it.
Well, that there is propane, so God damn it, Bobby. What are you doing in the tool shed whacking off?
Oh, boy. That's it, guys. I don't have much. I'm going to hop back in the chat, Jake.
All right. So, yeah, the Hank Hill I get because I have done impersonations of Hank Hill. I am the man of many. I'm a chameleon-voiced person, I guess. So, but we'll end it on that note, guys. Take a look at temperatures once again. Please like and share and subscribe to us on YouTube. Check us out on Facebook, Twitter. Also, we have Patreon, and like I said, I've told you in previous broadcasts, we are refurbing or rebuilding our website at thegrandsolarminimum.com. Guys, we will be back tomorrow night at 9 p.m. for another live show and Grand Solar Minimum News update as well. Till then, guys, we will talk soon. Take care.